I did beat about the bush a little and told him that if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take me.
What did he say?
Oh, you know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No. He said it might make us discontented with Grover's Corner to go traipsing about Europe. Better leave well enough alone, he says. Every 2 years we make a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's enough treat for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War, only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
Well, it's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I have traipsed over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every single bush and pacing it all out like we were going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying it, Julia, you sell it. And then you'll get to see Paris, all right? Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. It's just, it seems to me that once in your life you ought to see a place where they don't speak English and they don't even want to.
Thank you very much, ladies. Ladies. Now we'll skip a few hours. But first, we want to get you a little bit more information about our town. Kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to sketch in a few details of our past history here. Professor Willard? May I introduce Professor Willard of our State University. Just a few brief notes, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pliocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that here. Of course, there are some more recent outcroppings, sandstone showing through a shelf of Devonian basalt and some vestiges of Mesozoic shale. But these are comparatively new, perhaps 200 or 300 million years. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils 2 miles north of the Peckett Barn and Silas Peckham's cow pasture. These may be seen in a museum at the university at any time. That is, at any reasonable time. Shall I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. Perhaps you can give us a little bit more information about the history of man here. No.
Oh, anthropological data.
Yes.
Early Amerindian stock, Cotahuasi tribes, no evidence before the 10th century of this era, now entirely disappeared. Oh, possible traces in 3 families of migration in the early part of the 17th century of English brachiocephaltic blue-eyed stock. Since then, some Slav and
And a population, Professor.
Within the town limits, 2,640. Oh yes, the population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality birth rates constant by McPherson gauge 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm sure we're all much obliged to you.
Not at all, madam, not at all. Thank you.
Now the political and social report. Editor Webb. Oh, Mr. Webb!
He'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand while stealing an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Mr. Webb is editor and publisher of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age 21 and women vote indirect. We're lower middle class with a sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Democrat, 4% Republican, and 6% Socialist. Rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic. Rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
It's a very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, and probably a lot duller too. But yet our young people seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settled down right here to live, even when they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask Editor Webb any questions about our town?
Is there much drinking in Grove?
Well, ma'am, I wouldn't know what you'd call much. See, Saturday nights the farmhands meet down at Ellery Reno Stable in Hollisong, and we've got one or two town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for a snake bite, you know. It always was.
Is there no one in this town?
Come forward, will you, to where we can all hear you.
Is there no one in this town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Well, yeah, everybody is. Something terrible. It seems like they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I suppose we're all hunting like everybody else for a way the diligent and sensible rise to the top, and the lazy and the quarrelsome sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meantime, we do all we can to take care of those that can't help themselves, and those that can, we leave alone. Now, are there any other questions?
Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love beauty in Grover's Corner?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean. Actually, come to think of it, there are those girls that play the piano over high school commencement. But they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture here. But perhaps this is the place to tell you that we've got a lot of pleasures of a kind. We like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning. And we all notice a great deal about the birds. Yeah, we pay a lot of attention to them. And we watch the change of the seasons. Oh, we all know about them. But those other things, you're right, man, there ain't much. Robinson Crusoe, and the Bible, and Handel's Largo. We all know that. And Whistler's Mother. But those are just about as far as we go.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now we'll get back into town. 3 o'clock. All 2,642 have had their lunches, and the dishes have been washed. There's a buzzing and a humming coming from the school buildings. Only a few buggies on Main Street. Horses dozing at the hitching post. There's an early afternoon calm about the town. You all know how it is. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people and making them say, ah, and Editor Webb's mowing his lawn over there. 1 man in 10 thinks it's his own privilege to push his own lawnmower. Later than I thought. There come the children already.
I can't, Lois. I gotta go home and help my mother. I promised. Goodbye.
Emily! Walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand straight, and the next you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Well, golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Excuse me, Miss Forrest.
You go out and play in the field, young man. You got no business playing baseball on Main Street.
Awfully sorry, Miss Forrest. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class.
Well, I was really ready to do a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Corcoran made me do a speech about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I was knocking on time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can just see your head nights when you're doing homework over in your room.
Why can't you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you could sit still for that long. I guess you must really like school.
Well, I feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind, it really passes the time.
Yeah. Emily, what do you think? We might work out a kind of telegraph from your window to mine, and every once in a while, you could give me a kind of hint or two on one of those algebra problems. Oh, no, not the answers, Emily, of course not, just some little hint.
Oh. Well, I guess hints are okay. So if you get stuck, just whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
Figure's just the way a person's born.
Yeah. But you see, I want to be a farmer, and my Uncle Luke says that whenever I'm ready, I can just come over and work on his farm, and if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. I better be getting back to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Afternoon, Miss Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily? Come and help you string these beans for the winter. Well, George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see, he must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today and I was real good.
You must have cited to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana purchase. It was like soak off of school. I'm gonna make speeches my whole life. Mama, are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger, if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously? Will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Yes, of course. Both my children got good features. I'd be ashamed if they had.
Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I've already told you yes. Now that's enough of that. You have a nice, young, pretty face. Never heard of such foolishness.
Oh, Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town next to maybe Cartwright.
But Mama, you got to tell me something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody? To get anybody interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along now and bring that bowl with you.
Oh, Mama, you're no help at all.
This is a good time to tell you that the Cartwright interests have just begun building a new bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont to get the marble, sorry to say. And they've asked a friend of mine what he thinks that they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. Of course, they're putting in a copy of Editor Webb's Sentinel and a copy of the New York Times. We're awfully interested in this because some scientific fellas have found a way of painting all this reading material with the type of glue, a silicate glue that'll make it keep 1,000 to 2,000 years. They're putting in a copy of the Bible and a copy of the Constitution of the United States and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you think, folks? What do you say? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it, and all we know about the real life of the people is nothing. All we know is the name of kings, and some wheat contracts, and the sales of slaves. Yes, every night, all those families sat down to supper, and the father came home from work, and the smoke went up in the chimney, same as here. And in Greece and Rome, all we know about the real life of the people is what we can piece together from the joking poems and comedies that were written for theater back then. So, I'm going to have a copy of this play put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now, so that people will know a few simple facts about the real life of the people in our town. See what I mean? So they'll know a few simple facts, more than the Treaty of Versailles and the Lindenberg flight. So they'll know this is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were. In our growing up, in our marrying, in our living, and in our dying. Now we'll get back into Grover's Corners. It's evening. You can hear choir practice going on in the congregational church. The children are setting off doing their homework. The day is running down like a tired clock.
Now try it again. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, music came into this world to give pleasure. Now again.
Blessed be the tie that binds
Softer.
our hearts.
Softer! Now listen here, everybody. Get it out of your head that music is only good when it's loud. Leave the loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them if you tried. Now again, in tenors.
Blessed be the tie that binds.
Hello.
Hi, I can't work at all. My lights are terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George, that's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Well, Emily, can you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? What do you mean?
Square yards.
Oh, the square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yes.